My name is Bob Fash, U.S. Navy retired commander. 2 weeks later, Rosemary Clooney comes to entertain us, and I'd never met anybody famous. And we're at the airport to pick her up, and the sergeant who ran the sergeant's club, he went over and he said, "Rosie, do you know who was sitting in that chair yesterday? She was in a lounge chair waiting for the luggage." And she said, "No." He said, "Lucky Luciano died there yesterday." That was interesting. And then when she came to my club, she said she wanted to go see Pompeii, so I took her to Pompeii for the day. I'd never met anybody famous. This was really fantastic. She was with her aunt, whose husband was the head of the army band. And so anyway, she came to sing at the club, and we took her to dinner afterwards. It was like 11 o'clock at night at an Italian restaurant on the water. You could see Mount Vesuvio there, or in the sunset or whatever. It was very romantic, and the owner was an American deported. His name was Mario Deportio. He owned the restaurant, and he knew right away who she was, and he came right over and asked her, would she go up and sing, because he had like an 8-piece orchestra there. So she went up and sang, "Come on to my house," and all this. Man, I was so thrilled. And so was Mario Deportio. And then when my brother-in-law and I got up to take her and her aunt back to their hotel, it was the Vesuvio Hotel, which is the best hotel in Naples at the time. I think it probably still is. This admiral who had seated himself at our table unrequested and had made a jerk of himself the whole time, followed us down there, and in the middle of the street at 2:30 in the morning, he's pulling one of her arms. He's a rear admiral. I'm pulling the other arm. I'm a lieutenant junior grade, and he's saying, "Rosemary, I love you. Come to my ship with me." And I'm trying to figure out, how do I deal with something like this? I mean, I had never met an admiral until 3 weeks before. And he finally left. And I called my boss, who was a rear admiral, at 8 o'clock the next morning, which was the deal. He told me to call him if it was an admiral or a general. There was a problem. And I called him, I told him the story, and he said, "Thank you, Lieutenant." 2 months later in Navy Times, there was an announcement the admiral was assigned to 2 years in charge of Operation Deep Freeze in the Antarctic. So they knew how to take care of their officers. That was a lesson for me that I never forgot. There were lots of other problems. I caught the son of the mayor of Naples trying to upend the slot machine and take money out on a Sunday, and I kicked them out of the club. The next morning, Monday morning, when I go to my office, my secretary comes running up, "Tenente, Tenente." She was an American married to an Italian. "What is it, Eloise?" "There's 3 Italian generals in your office waiting for you. 8 o'clock, they're waiting for me. I'm a lieutenant junior grade, and there's a lieutenant general and 2 brigadier generals waiting for me." And I go to the senior general, "Generale, would you like a cafe?" Which means an espresso. "Sure." "Eloise, bring 4 espressos." And then she brought them, and I said, "Now, Generale, what can I do for you?" "Tenente, I heard about what happened yesterday." "Yes, Generale. We'd like to take care of it." "But of course, General. You guys take care of it." So they left. 5 minutes later, I called immediately my boss, and he said, "You did the right thing." We never saw that mayor's son in Naples again. Now, I don't know what happened, or if anything happened, but no one ever saw him in Naples again, if you understand what I think we all deduced from this. But who knows? It was Naples. Lucky Luciano lived there till he died. I got, I got relieved way early because I decided that the slot machine room should not be part of Naples, of NATO. It should be part of the US Navy, but the Navy wouldn't allow slot machines. So I made the slot machine room, I made the whole club a NATO club. And the day after it happened, this lieutenant colonel comes in my office, Lieutenant Fash, you're relieved. What do you mean I'm relieved? The Army did it differently than the Navy. And I said, just a minute, I gotta call my boss. I called the Admiral right while this lieutenant colonel's sitting there, and he said, yeah, that's the way they do it. And they assigned me to work in this under the mountain secret place in Naples. After about a week of this, I called the Admiral who had been my boss, and I said, you know, I extended to run the officers club. So he let me get off active duty. And what was kind of funny was I came back to the club a month later, and the head bartender came over to me. The new club officer was sitting there 2 tables away with his boss, who was a colonel, and they were drunk. And the bartender said to me, because I had taught them how they couldn't give free drinks, and they understood I knew how to tell. And he said, what can I get for you? It's on the house. Oh my God. It's less than a month, and they're already back to the old. I had a couple free drinks. Less than a month later, the lieutenant colonel who relieved me and his boss, who was a colonel, were relieved and sent to Germany in 24 hours for hanky-panky. So everyone before me was relieved for hanky-panky, and at least one after me for hanky-panky, and thank God I wasn't.